It's Mariah Dominique, and you're tuned into Healing in My 20s, Episode 3, Self-Worth. In this episode, I will be discussing what self-worth is and why it's very important when you're dealing with self-discovery. So, last week was a tough week mentally for me. Is anyone else going through a season where you feel very disconnected from this world and yourself? Because it's like right now, I'm getting to relearn myself in ways I didn't even know was possible. Being spiritually awakened, having a Kundalini awakening experience, and now self-discovery has me physically and mentally exhausted. So for those who don't know, a Kundalini is a form of the divine feminine's energy, and it is located at the base of the spine. So last week I was in the car and I had a random burning sensation go up my spine like a lightning bolt. It was so scary and very painful. I had to call and seek help because I couldn't walk or drive anymore after I felt that spasm or whatever happened. The pain was so bad I thought to myself, this is it. I'm about to die. I really thought my life was over. After being rushed to the hospital, the doctors really couldn't tell me anything. They presumed I strained a muscle and prescribed me some medicine and sent me on my way. I couldn't sleep for days. I barely ate because I didn't have an appetite. The medicine they gave me wasn't working, and I couldn't even bathe myself because I couldn't bend down. I was in the bed laying there miserable for days. And then something came over me, and I decided I'm getting up. And that's exactly what I did. It hurts so bad to move around, but I told myself, all you have is you, and you have to put your mind over this matter. So that's what I did. And even though I still didn't drive for a week, I felt that I needed this time to discover something within me that I was blocking out. I needed to release my self-limiting beliefs, which I kind of started to do by forcing myself to move my body and get up. See, my mind was telling me the whole time, lay down, go to sleep. If you move a certain way, you're going to break something. You're in pain, just keeping me in fear. But I didn't listen to that negative voice. And honestly, I don't even feel like it was my voice. The same week all of this happened, I was in the midst of launching my food business, Buzz Eats. So I had to be up. I had to be in the kitchen cooking. I had stuff to do. This Kundalini awakening whooped my ass, but it also opened my eyes to so much power that I didn't realize was festering inside of me. And it also made me realize I need to do some more self-worth work. So our self-love journey involves creating a strong foundation on which we use to build our self-worth. And I know the first step requires us to release our self-limiting and life-limiting beliefs from the past. Something I do now to affirm myself is when I wake up or before I go to bed, I stare at myself in the mirror and I tell myself I am worthy of everything my heart desires and I am living in my most optimal timeline. This affirmation doesn't equal my self-worth, and my self-worth doesn't depend on me saying this, but what I am doing is reprogramming the way I think to a more positive way of thinking so that my life can reflect those positive thoughts. Being an entrepreneur has really been a test of self-worth for me. When you launch a business, you will get positive feedback and negative feedback, but both are beneficial for your business, I feel like, because positive feedback is like a confidence boost or some encouragement, while negative feedback, it feels like hatred, judgment, criticism, depending on how it's worded, but that also kind of helps you to perfect your business. But recently, I got a few negative comments pertaining to one of my businesses, and those comments caused me to do a lot of self-reflection. Although I am in a new place far away from home, I still chose to be an asset to this community. I'm not the type of person who could just be somewhere and just be there and not add to that community. So what I have to offer and whatever services I can provide, I will display it any way I know how to. So I was taken aback when I received all this hate from people in this community when I had launched my business. But when I came to terms with myself, I realized, you know what? Who cares how people want to view what I'm doing? Who cares about the hate talk and demeaning comments? Who cares? Because it's irrelevant to my soul's purpose. When you're creating or building in the beginning, you're going to have haters who don't want you to thrive because they're not thriving. It's inevitable, and that's okay. because everything comes with negatives and positives, but what you do with that feedback is the ultimate test. Our minds need to be filled up with thoughts about how our gifts and talents can be mastered, not the foolery of who's got to say what about this and what you're doing. Like, who cares? Everything we think and everything we speak comes into fruition. So just because I got a little hate doesn't mean I lower my self-worth and self-talk. Instead, I'm telling myself, like, I'm destined for greatness, and this business is going to help me create generational wealth for my family. And this is going to be a successful business that's going to create also another stream of income. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking life over myself. I am very grateful for my spirituality, because at times like this, I have the divine to cover me and reveal to me and also strengthen me. But let's touch a little deeper into self-worth and how it plays a key role in self-discovery. So society today tells us that self-worth is determined by materials, our partner, our jobs, our friend groups, self-image, so on. But really, self-worth is really different for each individual. Having a strong sense of self-worth means that you accept yourself wholeheartedly despite your flaws, imperfections, weaknesses. You know your value, and you know that you are always worth it. Self-worth is recognizing that I am greater than all of my accomplishments, my roles, and my hard parts. Valuing yourself allows you to understand and believe you are worthy of good things, love, and abundance in your life. I struggled with a low sense of self-worth for years. During that time, I couldn't quite get out of my head about past mistakes and self-doubt and my insecurities. It was until I got tired of repeating the same cycles and learning the same lessons that I finally realized I need to stop depending on others for my self-worth, and it was time for me to depend on me. The divine literally met me in the struggle with low self-worth and said, "Surrender to me and you will be free." I remember hearing that at a time I was so low and I was just laying in bed and I went to sleep, and that's what I heard in my voice. Surrender to me and you will be free. I'm getting chills now just talking about this, because that moment changed me for the better. I indeed have value, and knowing that fueled me with the willpower to discover more about myself and tap into my talents and gifts. Self-discovery involves transparency and vulnerability. Not only will it help you identify your gifts, abilities, and talents, but self-discovery also teaches you how to develop them. Other words I use for self-discovery are self-reflection and introspection, even soul-searching. I'll use that. All of these concepts involve taking time to deeply reflect on who you are, what you want to achieve, and the person you want to become. So when I think about self-discovery, I contemplate on what nourishes my soul. The most effective ways I've been able to do this is through meditation, building karmically beneficial relationships with people around me, shadow work, inner child healing, and manifesting. I know you're probably like, what does all of that even mean? So let me explain. Well, when I'm meditating, I'm not just sitting there in prayer. Most of the time, I meditate best with music and journaling. I've even made a playlist for music that vibrates my soul specifically so I can include it in my meditation. So once I circle all my crystals around me and light a white candle, my meditation begins. And I write down everything that comes to my mind. Even if what I wrote down is scrambled and doesn't make sense in that moment, I still reflect on it and write how it made me feel in that moment. When it comes to building karmically beneficial relationships with people around me, this is very important for social, emotional, and mental growth. Everyone around me is valuable to me in my life in some way. Being around people who stimulate my mind give me a different perspective on life. People who have paid their karmic debt and are out here fulfilling their soul's purpose are people I want around me. And the only way to attract those vibrations is to be that vibration. When it comes to shadow work, inner child healing, and manifesting, all three processes go together. Without shadow work and inner child healing, your manifestations will be blocked. I incorporate journaling and voice memos for that process. I usually start with a journal prompt and then I journal my answers and my thoughts on that specific prompt. But most of the prompts are geared towards my childhood or past. Like, for example, a journal prompt would be why I allowed a toxic relationship to continue, or what's a time I felt scared during my childhood and how was that fear present in my adult life. And when I don't feel like writing, I record my answers and thoughts on my voice memo so I can still have record of my thought process during that time. So if you're interested in some journal prompts to start your shadow work process, please leave your email in the comments below. When it comes to inner child healing, I simply just do things I used to love to do as a child. And I try to do that every day. Whether that means playing music I used to listen to then, or watching a show or movie I used to love, or even doing an activity I used to love doing, I make sure that inner child in me is getting attention too. But you don't even have to do things you loved in the past. Think about what you loved as a child and reflect on how those things are loved and embraced still in your life today. So you see, if you don't know your self-worth and don't put in the work to know your value and purpose, your life will be dictated by who you're around in society in general. Say this affirmation with me and tell yourself this every day. I am committed to my journey. I believe in myself. I am worthy of unlimited abundance. I am successful in all my endeavors, and I follow my soul's purpose with ease. Thank you for listening to Healing in My 20s, Episode 3, Self-Worth. Comment, like, share, and do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss Episode 4. Peace.